The following learning modules, cell structure and function, will help you review for the EOCT assessment. Please complete the corresponding cell structure and function handout as you proceed through the learning module. Cells are the basic unit of life. All organisms are made up of cells. All existing cells are produced by other living cells. Cells can be placed into two broad categories based on their internal structures. The two types of cells are prokaryote cells and eukaryote cells. Prokaryote cells, the prefix pro means before, kary means nucleus. It provides a quick description of the cell. Prokaryote cells do not contain a nucleus. They do not contain membrane-bound organelles, but they do contain DNA. The DNA is suspended in the cytoplasm. In addition, they contain cytoplasm, contain a cell membrane. All prokaryote cells are microscopic, single-celled organisms. Examples include bacteria and archaea. The other type of cells are eukaryote cells. The prefix eu means true, kary means nucleus. Eukaryote cells contain a nucleus. The genetic information is stored inside the nucleus. They also contain membrane-bound organelles, which we'll discuss later on in the presentation. They contain cytoplasm. They contain a cell membrane, which we'll talk about in the cell transport learning module. And eukaryotes may be multicellular or single-celled organisms. Some examples include plants, animals, and fungi. Now please pause the video and complete the compare and contrast Venn diagram for prokaryotes and eukaryote cells. Now let's go over some of the items that should be included in your Venn diagram. First, let's start with prokaryote cells. Prokaryote cells do not contain a nucleus, do not contain membrane-bound organelles. They're single-celled, and an example includes bacteria. In contrast, eukaryote cells do contain a nucleus, do contain membrane-bound organelles, can be single-cellular or multicellular, and examples include plant and animal cells. Both types of cells contain a nucleus, cytoplasm, and a cell membrane. Check over your Venn diagram and make sure you have included the following elements. Here is a visual diagram which represents both types of cells. Prokaryote cells are being pictured at the top. Eukaryote cells are pictured at the bottom. Now let's switch gears and discuss organelles. Previously I mentioned that eukaryote cells contain membrane-bound organelles. Organelles are specialized structures that perform cellular functions within a cell. Please follow along on your module handout and fill in the required information for each organelle that I will discuss on the next couple of slides. The first organelle is the cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton's function is to support and shape the cell and is also involved in cell movement. Three components of the cytoskeleton include microtubules. Those are long hollow tubes that give the cell its shape, intermediate filaments, which give the cell its strength, and microfilaments, which enable cells to move and divide, and they play an important role in muscle cells. The cytoskeleton is found in both plant and animal cells. The next organelle is the nucleus. The nucleus is a key identifying factor among prokaryote and eukaryote cells, which we discussed prior to this slide. The function of the nucleus is to store hereditary information in the form of DNA. It contains a nucleolus, which is a small dense region which is responsible for the assembly of ribosomes, and is also surrounded by a nuclear envelope. The nucleus is found in both plant and animal cells. The next organelle is the endoplasmic reticulum. The function of the endoplasmic reticulum is an organelle where components of the cell membrane are made and proteins are modified. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. The first type is the smooth ER. It does not contain ribosomes, hence its name, smooth. It makes lipids and breaks down toxic substances. The rough ER does contain ribosomes, hence its name rough. It exports proteins from the cell or sends them to the cytoplasm, that jelly-like substance. Ribosomes are the site of protein synthesis. It's the location where proteins are made. Ribosomes are made up of rRNA, ribosomal RNA, and protein. They can be either found free roaming in the cytoplasm or attached to the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Take a moment and make note of the diagram located at the bottom. You can see the top portion of the diagram contains the rough ER, and you can see ribosomes are embedded along the rough ER. The bottom part of the diagram contains the smooth ER, and you can see no ribosomes are located along the smooth ER. The Golgi apparatus is a sac of membrane-enclosed spaces containing enzymes that process, sort, and deliver proteins. You can think of the Golgi apparatus as the post office of the cell. That's what its function entitles it to do, to sort and deliver proteins. The mitochondria, commonly nicknamed the powerhouse of the cell, gets its nickname from its function. Its function is to supply energy for the cell. It's the site of cellular respiration, which is a process that both plant and animal cells go through. They have their own ribosomes, and they contain their own DNA. The mitochondria is located in both plant and animal cells. The Golgi apparatus is located in both plant and animal cells. Ribosomes are located in both plant and animal cells. And the endoplasmic reticulum is located in both plant and animal cells. The next two organelles are found only in plant cells. The first organelle, chloroplast, is a structure that's responsible for giving plants its green color. This organelle is responsible for carrying out photosynthesis, which is a process of plants using sunlight to make energy. They contain a pigment called chlorophyll, which is the light-absorbing molecule that gives plants their green color. Chloroplast is only found in plants, some algae, and some bacteria. The other organelle only found in plant cells is the cell wall. It's a strong, rigid layer that provides protection and support and also shapes the cell. It's made up of cellulose and is found in plants, algae, fungi, and most bacteria. Lysosomes is the next organelle we'll talk about. Lysosomes are considered the garbage man of the cell. They're found in both plant and animal cells. Their function is to remove and dispose broken down or worn out parts of the cell. They contain enzymes that defend the cell from pathogens. The last and final organelle we'll discuss is the cell membrane. The cell membrane is considered the gatekeeper of the cell. We'll discuss the cell membrane in great detail when we move on to the cell transport learning module. The function of the cell membrane is to monitor what enters and leaves the cell. It's semi-permeable, meaning some things can pass through easily and some things cannot. It's made up of a double layer of phospholipids, which have hydrophilic and hydrophobic parts. In addition, the cell membrane is also called a fluid mosaic. It gets the term fluid mosaic from the proteins, the protein channels, cholesterol that are embedded within the cell membrane. At this point, your teacher should instruct you on the reinforcement activity. You'll be participating in a USA Test Prep class party. You can use the supplemental material provided in this learning module to work through that activity. The directions to access this activity is found on the following slide. Please read through the class party instructions and engage in the reinforcement activity.